Looking for the latest comic book to add to your collection? How about the last card for that Magic the Gathering Commander deck? Well, the comic book store's got you covered. Shop online at comicbookstore.tcgplayerpro.com or come in person at 30 North Main Street, Glassboro, New Jersey. Pizza people, welcome back. Hollywood Pizza here, and we've got a really spicy deck for you today. We're going to be playing some Bant mid-range, that's right. We're going to try to outvalue our opponent with Planeswalkers and storm the festival as well. So the original idea for this deck list came from Arjuna. Their version was a little bit more creature-based, and you can definitely tell that it had some mid-rangeness to it, while on top of that being able to potentially turn into more of a beatdown deck. For us here, we're really going for more of just the outright mid-range value strategy, where we ended up cutting a lot more of the earlier threats in the main deck and the sideboard for more controlling cards overall. But let's go ahead and dive right into the deck list here. So we have 3 March of the Otherworldly Light to start off our 1-drop slot. As initial cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of white cards from your hand. It costs 2 less to cast. For each card exiled this way, you can exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment, mana value X or less. We're playing 3 of these, kind of just like a catch-all for all kinds of different problematic permanents, from Fable to Graveyard Trespassers, any types of creatures, artifacts, enchantments, Bank Busters. Just a really, really phenomenal card, and it's an instant speed on top of that. 2 Circle of Confinements main deck to help against any type of early aggression. It's really, really good against vampires, because if you play it on like a Bloodtithe Harvester, anytime that your opponent plays more Bloodtithe Harvesters, then you'll get to gain 2 life, which is really good with our Shayna, which we'll get to in a moment. So we also have 3 Llanowar Loam Speaker here, colorless and a green for a 1/3. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. You can also tap it to turn a land into a 3/3 elemental creature with haste. It's still land. You can only activate this as a sorcery, so overall it helps ramp to our later cards in the game. And then on top of that, it may also turn a land that you control that's not really doing much into a 3/3 that's going to be able to beat down. We're playing 1 Outland Liberator main deck to help against any type of artifacts or enchantments that may be a problem. On top of that, it's just a good 2-drop to crash in with, and if it ever gets to flip over from the daytime, nighttime mode, you're actually going to be able to just attack and destroy an artifact or enchantment rather than sacrificing it. But overall, just a really phenomenal card in the main deck as a 1-of. We also have 2 Dennick Pious Apprentice. Been seeing this card quite a bit more in the format. White-blue for a 2/3 lifelink. Cards and graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities. You can disturb it. 2 colorless, white-blue, comes back as a 3/2 flyer. Whenever one or more creature cards are put in a graveyard from anywhere, you get to investigate, and only triggers once. So just a really solid card overall. The first half is a pretty good rate, 2 mana, 2/3, with lifelink that helps against a lot of different decks right now in the format, like anything that's playing the Gix Saga, or also even some other cards that just outright target the card, like a Corpse Appraiser, Graveyard Trespasser. This card kind of just shuts all those down. We have 2 Anointed Peacekeeper, 2 colorless and a white for a 3/3 Vigilance when it comes into play. So as it enters the battlefield, so your opponents actually have to respond with this on the stack. They can't let it resolve. It's not a trigger, it just happens, kind of like a Melee Mage effect. It's a 3/3 Vigilance. Whenever it comes in, look at the target opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Spells your opponent's cast with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast. Activate abilities of the sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. So a quick reminder of this card, the second part of it isn't just your opponent. So if you name like a Wandering Emperor, you could find yourself having to pay 2 mana to use a Wandering Emperor, so not necessarily always a good idea, but a really strong card overall. It gives you tons of information and can also slow your opponent down by taxing them. We also have 3 Shayna Purifying Blade. It ends up costing Bant, so 3 mana, 3/3, green, white, blue. It has lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do, draw X cards. X can't be greater than the amount of life you've gained, so really solid card because we have tons of incidental life gain. We have Dennick, 2 Circle of Confinements, Teferi, Wandering Emperor, Elspeth. So many cards in this deck, and on top of that, this card already has lifelink, so there's lots of games where you're just going to be gaining tons of life and drawing lots of cards. Yeah, just a really, really, really strong card overall. We also have 4 Wandering Emperor, one of the best 4-drops you could be playing in the format. 2 colorless, 2 white, 3 loyalty, flash. As long as this card came into play, you can activate the loyalty ability anytime you can cast instant. +1, put a counter, +1/+1 counter, and up to 1 creature gains first strike until on a turn. -1, make a 2/2 Samurai with Vigilance, and -2, exile a tapped creature, you gain 2 life. So yeah, not really much else to say about this card. It's been in standard for a long time now. One of my favorite cards in the format. And yeah, super, super excited to be playing it in this deck. We also have 2 Teferi, who slows the sunset. We're going to be slowing the sunset for sure with this card. 2 colorless, white, blue, 4 loyalty. +1, choose up to 1 target artifact, creature, and land. Untap them if they're yours, tap them if they're not, and you gain 2. -2, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand, rest on the bottom in any order. -7, emblem, untap everything you control during each opponent's untap step, and you get to draw an additional card whenever they draw a card. So that emblem is usually going to end the game. What I really like about Teferi is how you can use his first ability to tap a creature down and then play a Wandering Ember to exile it. So lots of synergy with Teferi on top of that. The main change that I wanted to make to this deck, so Arjuna's originalist was a little bit more beat down with the creatures, a lot more grindier in that aspect. For me, I really wanted to go off with Teferi plus the Timeless Lotus. So Timeless Lotus, 5 colorless, enters the battlefield tapped. You tap it to add 1 mana of each color, so 5 mana. So with Teferi, you essentially create 10 mana, which you're able to cast a Storm the Festival pretty quickly. We're going to get the Storm the Festival here in a moment, though. Let's round out the rest of our 5 drops. We have 2 AO, the Dawn Sky, 3 colorless, 2 white for a 5/4 Flying Vigilance. Whenever it dies, you get to choose 1. Look at your top 7. Put any number of non-land permanents, total mana value 4 or less, from among them onto the battlefield, the rest on the bottom randomly. And the other option would be put 2 counters on each permanent and vehicle you control. So I think this card is just really powerful. It has Vigilance, so it gets around opposing Wandering Emperors, stays back on defense, and on top of that, if it just dies, you essentially get some permanents potentially into play. Let's say you get a Denic and a Land and Warloam Speaker, you feel pretty good about that. Or maybe you just get a Wandering Emperor and exile your opponent's card. But yeah, overall, just a really strong card right now in the format. I've been seeing a lot more of AO show up, which is pretty surprising considering that this is one that I think a lot of people really wrote off in the beginning. We have 2 Elspeth Resplendent, 3 colorless, 2 white, 5 loyalty, +1, choose up to 1 target creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then you get to choose Flying, First Strike, Lifelink, or Vigilance. We also have -3, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You can put a permanent card, mana value 3 or less, on the battlefield with a shield counter. -7, it's ultimate, create a 5/3/3 Angels with Flying, so really strong card overall. It's a little bit expensive maybe for what you're really trying to do, but we're going to jump right into the Storm Festival here. So 3 colors, triple green. Sorcery, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put up to 2 permanent cards, mana value 5 or less from them on the battlefield, the rest go on the bottom randomly. So because Elspeth costs 5, we're able to cast it off the Storm Festival, so a lot of its mana value is kind of like mitigated by that. But overall, like, your Storm Festival is just so powerful. Like, you get to play it on your front half, and if you get 2 Planeswalkers, a creature and a Planeswalker down, you know, like an AO Timeless Lotus, like, if you get a Timeless Lotus, it actually gets you to your other Storm, the second half of the Storm the Festival for flashbacks. So nice little synergy there. And if you get like a Teferi and a Timeless, then you essentially get to untap your Timeless and then maybe even get to go off some more with some more cards in your hand. But overall, I think Storm the Festival is great in this type of strategy. We've been seeing this card also pop a lot more, considering that mid-range is definitely on the menu right now. We have 3 Leyline Binding to kind of help round out the deck and essentially give us another catch-all removal spell. So 5 colorless and a white flash. It has Domain, so it costs 1 less for each basic land type among lands you control. When it enters, you get to exile a non-land permanent until this card leaves the battlefield. So a lot of the time, Sparrow's Headquarters by itself makes this only cost 3. We only really have a forest, an island, and a couple plains to help reduce the cost, but overall I think that it's still a really powerful card in the format because you're just able to get rid of anything, and at flash. For special lands, we have 1 Aganjo, an Otawara, 1 Boseiju, and the Forest Bar's Headquarters that we already mentioned, with some pain lands and some dual lands mixed in as well. The Otawara just helps bounce something. Aganjo is a removal spell, and same thing with Boseiju. Just really great cards overall from Neon Dynasty. For a sideboard here, we have 1 of Spell Pierce, so it just helps against any type of non-creature deck that's really trying to do that, like Fable on the draw, or potentially maybe even some Sagas or Planeswalker on the opposing side. Just a really great one of that. If you flash this after game 2, let's say you end up getting to game 3, then your opponent's definitely going to have to play around it. We have an extra Circle of Confinement here to help against any type of fast strategy or vampires like I mentioned earlier. A couple Make Disappears as just some early interaction in terms of counter spells, and better later with that Casualty 1. The other 2 Anointed Peacekeepers to help round out the playset. Just a great card in certain matchups where you really want to get all that information and tax your opponent's cards. Same with Elspeth Resplendent, just a great value card where if you really need that extra value by getting some more permanents on the battlefield, then it's great. And on top of that, I really like how it just gives lifelink and a +1/+1 counter, flying. It's essentially just inevitability in the right matchup. 2 Negates to help against anything that's a non-creature in the mid-range or control matchups. Couple more Outline Liberators against any type of enchantment strategy. We've been seeing tons of sagas show up. Bank Busters, anything like that. This card's just going to be phenomenal against it. 2 Farewells as a catch-all type of sweeper here. We're able to ramp quite a bit with the Teferis, the Timeless Lotus, things like that. So Farewell, just a really, really powerful card. And it's going to help you get out of some sticky situations for sure, where you're able to exile artifacts, creatures, enchantments, and graveyards. And you can actually choose 1 or more. So just a really, really powerful card overall. The 4th, Storm the Festival, whenever you really need to grind the game out and you want to make sure that you hit that value. Whenever you know the game's going to go long, you want to bring in the 4th, Storm the Festival. And our 4th, March of the Otherworldly Light, just like I said, one of the best catch-all removal spells pretty much in the format. Really, really big fan of it, so just happy to have that 4th. Overall, I had a really great time playing this deck. I think that it has tons of games to it. And we're actually going to have in the description a link to Arjuna's version and my version as well. So you can definitely check out both to see which one you like more. But I definitely recommend this deck. I think that there's just so many different things that you could be doing right now in Standard. And it's just tons of fun. So let's go ahead and jump into some games and see how we do. Playing some Bant mid-range on the ladder here. See if we can draw a lot of cards, make some value here. Going to be on the draw to start this match. And our hand's actually pretty decent. I think we can definitely keep it. A little bit awkward considering that we don't have DECKTECH exactly on turn 2, but we could also draw an untapped land that lets us do that. And automatically our Leyline Binding as well goes down to just costing 3 here off of our Tri-Land. Fortunately, we did not hit an untapped land source, but that's fine. I'll go ahead and play a land and pass it back. Okay, so our opponent may be on the go wide game plan here. Mostly just looking to hit lands on our side because then we'll get to our Lotus and the Storm the Festival as well. That would kind of ramp out some more cards, do some more things. Okay, Rafine's pretty good here. Yep, we're going to take some damage. Gonna pump up their cards. And we could exile that by getting rid of our AO. I think I'd rather save it to kill the Rafine. Because if we're just gonna do that, then yeah, I still think like that's just better. Looks like our opponent's definitely thinking about what they're conniving here as well. And they're actually just going to get rid of a land, so really glad we didn't need to kill that card there. We could play this now, because it's better use of our mana. There is a chance it just dies and then they just Rafine us. I actually think it's okay, though. Let's get the Shayna down. We got something on the battlefield. It has lifelink. I'm really hoping that it survives here. We're missing some land drops, which is a bit rough, but that's okay. And opponent's going to come in for some damage here. And they're going to pump up the reinforcements, potentially. With the Rafine this time? I would think so. We could block here, but if they have another Aganjo, it's a bit rough. I guess them having one already in play means that we probably can block. A Wandering Emperor wouldn't really kill the Shayna if we did. And they're still just discarding some lands here. 5 lands being discarded from our opponent. And let's see what they got here. Okay, unfortunately they did have an Infernal Grasp, so they will kill the Shayna. But let's see here. We could Otherworldly Light it. I think we just want to do that. Oh, but then that would actually be all that. So yeah, we do have the Leyline here. So let's just Leyline a Binding. Okay, unfortunately they did have the Spell Pierce here. So, yep, a bit of a tempo loss there for us. We're going to go down to 12. Really looking to hit a land, then we can Timeless Lotus. Could also cast this AO as well, which is pretty good here. Okay, opponent just has Shieldred, which is a bit unfortunate for us. Could exile the Shieldred by getting rid of both of our cards, which we may end up wanting to do. They're going to gain a lot of life here. We would be 2-for-1-ing ourselves, but that's a bit rough. I think we just have to do it. It's not many times where you'll actually see me make that play, but it makes our opponent not get any life. It makes us not lose life on our turn. They may end up pumping the Rafine this time, so we could just be on a 2-turn clock here, but that's definitely a chance I'm willing to take here. And yep, gonna make it 3-powered, so 2-turn clock on our opponent's end. Looking to hit a land. Unfortunately, we did not, but we did hit a circle confinement for the Rafine, which is great. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Still on a 2-turn clock here because of the Tenacious Underdog, so opponent might just go for that play, and then we're kind of forced to have to draw a card. Ooh, AO instead. So gonna go down to 8. We hit a land, but we can just play the Lotus. And unfortunately, the Tenacious Underdog in our opponent's graveyard is going to be lethal, so a bit of a fast start for our opponent. We had a little bit more of a slower start as well. So I think I don't mind the March, the Circle, and it looks like they're mostly just like a creature-based deck, so the Farewells are actually going to be really good here. I think we can cut a Lotus. Elspeth just seems okay in this matchup. And let's see, Outland Liberator, does it hit anything? They probably have Wedding Invitation. Denick doesn't really seem all that good here, so maybe we play another Outland Liberator. And let's cut a Storm the Festival. Or an Elspeth, maybe? It's kind of tough, I think, here. Wandering Emperor is okay. Maybe we just got both the Peacekeepers. Let's bring in the other Storm. Maybe we want to go that big. It doesn't seem likely because then that's just like a lot of mana. So let's see. I think, yeah, another Outland Liberator is fine. I feel like we're definitely going to see some artifacts or enchantments. There's a chance to even play Bankbuster. Don't get me wrong, siding in some cards for something that you haven't seen isn't right always for sure, but I think that's actually a chance I'm willing to take in this matchup, knowing that Wedding Announcement's definitely like a card that the token decks like to play, so definitely expect to see it here. And we do have an early Outland Liberator, which is nice because if our opponent ends up having like a slow start, this will just turn into a 3/3 and we can start beating down for a good amount of damage. And it does look like that's the case. Gonna try to attack for 3 here. And it does look like it's gonna get in. Unfortunately, we don't have any of our basic lands. So really looking for those here just to make sure that our Leyline Binding gets a lot cheaper. So we were able to get in for some damage. Opponent lost some more life off the Infernal Grasp. And we still have a Trap Breaker that can destroy an artifact or enchantment if it comes down to that. Looking to just draw some lands from here on out. Okay, Wandering Emperor, definitely not the card we want to see, but still a card nonetheless that we'll be able to cast eventually, we hope. Okay, opponent just has a Duress, and our hand is just stacked full of cards that are interactive or we just can't cast. This Wandering Emperor is probably going to go to the bin. Don't see a reason not to. It's our next best card, yep, that we're going to be able to cast. So we get rid of the Emperor. And we do draw our land. So Binding's a little bit cheaper. We'll pass it back. We have double green right now, looking for one more green source for the Storm the Festival. We have 2 instant speed removal spells, one of which we should be able to use right now. We also have a 3rd removal spell in the Circle of Confinement that will be really good potentially against some vampires or like a Rafine if it comes down, just because this is a more efficient spell against it. Okay, so let's see what our opponent's got going here. And they're definitely going to the clock here. Okay, looks like it is just a bank buster. And they're going to draw. So maybe they were looking for a land. I think we just use our mana though, and definitely want to exile that bank buster. If they have a spell pierce, it's going to be a little bit annoying, but they don't. Wow, Spar's Headquarters, definitely the card we want to see there. Coming in for 3. We got our opponent down to 6 off just this Frenzied Trapkeeper. Trapbreaker, excuse me. If we draw a land, we get to play this Storm the Festival. So that feels pretty good. We have 2 removal spells still as backup. 2 turn clock with the creature we have down on the battlefield. And it's looking like an underdog. I think we'll just try to binding that end step. If they have a counter spell, that's fine. We still have a Circle Confinement here. And let's see what they end up doing. And yep, gonna exile the underdog. Because our turn, we have a Farewell as backup in case the game gets out of control. And we're still just looking for 1 land here. Trying to cast the Storm the Festival to really get some value going. Maybe hit a couple Planeswalkers would be pretty nice. Maybe the AO even. Shayna wouldn't be bad. Looks like opponent has their own AO. And we can't really do anything about that. Okay, we do hit the Leyline Binding though, right on time, so if they can't deal with this, then we're actually just going to come in for the last 3 points of damage. Alright, so we were able to take down game 2. Let's go ahead and look at our sideboard here if we want to make any adjustments. And we, in all honesty, just didn't really see a lot there. The make disappears aren't bad on the draw. Didn't really get to see a card that we wanted to blow up, which is kind of funny. So I don't mind getting rid of this. Maybe bringing in both make disappears. Cut down on a Loam Speaker. That's fine. I think that's fine. Even though we want Loam Speakers early, it does get way worse on the draw. It's not as effective. So we're going to be on the draw here for game 3. We're able to have just enough beatdown there in game 2. Let's go and see what our opening hand looks like and what our opponent's going to decide to do. And it looks like our opponent's still deciding here on whether or not they're going to be on the play. Okay, yep. And not really the ideal hand, only 1 land, and definitely not a good land with these Leyline bindings, so I think we have to take a mulligan here. And this hand's a lot better. Still not enough lands to get this Leyline binding down, but I think we definitely keep it. The question is, do we want to keep all the lands? Could put binding back, keep all lands. That just seems a little bit too risky for my liking. We hit another Shayna. Okay. That's fine. If we lose the first one, then we'll have an answer here. And, yep, don't mind just leading off with that there. We have a Boseiju. Try to resolve a Shayna. Okay, it does resolve here. And they don't have any response for it, so that's already a good start for us. An island makes our leyline binding cost 5, so we can't cast it yet, unfortunately, but still getting a little bit closer here. Let's go try to attack for 3. And opponent could have, yep, Wandering Emperor here, unfortunately for us. So they're going to get rid of this Shayna here. We're going to play another one, though. And pass the turn back. So a little bit rough there that they were able to get rid of one, and they have a Wandering Emperor, but okay, yep, looks like they actually have the wedding announcement that we were fearing as well. So they can make a Samurai. That's not really that threatening. They get a 1/1. We hit 2 removal spells. So I think either way we want to play the Circle of Confinement, exiling a token. Let's go on and attack for 3 here. Gain some life. And I actually think we'll just draw 3. Just because we're trying to hit some lands. Ooh, Spara's Headquarters, great. Makes our leyline binding only cost 3. So we still have 2 removal spells maybe next turn. I guess we need another white. So not yet, but we should be able to get rid of this wedding announcement, which is potentially going to cause us a headache here. If they have another Wandering Emperor, it's obviously a problem. Okay, they just have AO, so we have leyline binding for that, which is nice. And we also draw a farmland. But I definitely still think the play is to exile the AO. We have Outland Liberator here. And let's smash in with the Shayna. And we still have a Circle of Confinement to get rid of some cards if need be. And unfortunately we don't have enough mana to pay 3 to draw some cards, but that's fine. We still have a Liberator here. That'll be able to get rid of this wedding announcement, turning these back into 1/1s. A Circle of Confinement to potentially get rid of one of the tokens for blocks. Okay, just another AO from our opponent, so definitely a problematic card that we don't want to see. And I believe the wedding announcement is just going to flip here. So yeah, they're actually going to go for the extra draw, which is pretty surprising. It's really good for us, just means that they have less permanents in play. Wow, we hit a March, so yeah, I think we just exile the AO here. We'll definitely play our farmland, attack for 5, gain some life. Get our opponent down to 8, pass the turn back. Yeah, I think we'll just pay 1 for this here, don't mind it. Ooh, we get a Make Disappear, which isn't really that great right now, but still a card that could end up using. And they just have a Duress, so probably going to take the Circle Confinement, would be my guess. Wow, they're actually taking the Counterspell. So does that mean that they have potentially a play on our turn? Could. Especially if that's what they're doing. Do have another Outland Liberator in our hand, though. And we're drawing a land. I think we just play the land. Can exile the token. They could also just have Wandering Emperor here. We can destroy this. Let's cycle. Cycle the headquarters, try to draw something good. Just a Yavimaya Coast. So exile if we attack. Can also just say go. This flips, they play Wandering Emperor. I think I just like playing this instead though. And I'm not going to play into it. We're just going to pass the turn. I want to keep this Circle Confinement, just in case. And we didn't really gain any life here, fortunately. No incidental life gain, but that's alright. And opponent does have quite a bit of cards in hand. We only really have 2, and even though one of them's a removal spell, technically we have some removal spells as well on the battlefield for, like, if they play another wedding announcement or another problematic permanent. Okay, they're just going to blow that up. That's fine. Still have a good amount of answers for that. Really looking for, like, a Storm the Festival here. Okay, just to make disappear, unfortunately. Not the card we want to see. So, I think we just pass it back. We have this make disappear now, though, for the Wandering Emperor, which is really nice. So, that is going to help, eventually. We also get 2 3/3s. Like, our opponent can't really attack. If they do, it's going to be quite a bit aggressive. Okay, yeah, we're definitely happy with this. I always forget that it has Vigilance, though, myself. I was thinking, might be able to get in, but unfortunately we can't. And, yep, not going to blow that up yet. Storm the Festival's pretty good here. Yep, just going to pop that off. And let's see what we hit. They're going to go for a negate. We can make disappear, but then they would be able to pay for it. So, unfortunately, I think we have to let that resolve. Let's play a land and pass the turn back. So we were not able to gain some life here, unfortunately. But opponent cycling land, so feeling a little bit desperate maybe on their end. If they end up having less than 4 mana available, this make disappear is going to be really, really good. Even if we have to sacrifice a trap breaker for it. We're 1 mana away from being able to cast the Storm the Festival from the graveyard as well. But this AO beatdown has us on a 2-turn clock. We draw an Overgrown Farmland. Yep, gonna go for the Storm the Festival here. They have a counterspell, they have a counterspell, and unfortunately they do have a negate, so definitely a bit rough here. We're just gonna pass it back. And Teferi would be pretty good. It would gain us some life. Like, at the end of the day right now, we're really just looking for some incidental life gain for Shayna to kind of take off. If not, we may end up just being dead to this AO, honestly. This puts us down to 5, so even if we were to destroy the wedding announcement, we still lose to this AO on the following turn. Can't attack all out, but then we'd probably lose the Shayna. We gain some life, which is fine. And if they have a kill spell for the Shayna now, it's pretty rough. Ooh, meat hook for 3. Yep, so that's actually going to put us down, unfortunately. And really would have liked to make disappear there. We go up to 4. Let's cycle this away. Okay, we just hit a land, and unfortunately that's going to do us in. So, bit of a rough loss there. Maybe just drew 1 too many lands, but let's go and see how the rest of our matches go. Alright, playing some more Bant mid-range here. Let's see if we can keep grinding up the ladder. And we're going to be on the draw for this match. Unfortunately, our hand's quite a bit slow. I do think that we have to mulligan here. And we actually end up with a little bit more of a worse hand. Really looking for a white source here. I actually think I am still going to try it. It's obviously risky. It's not a guarantee we're going to hit another white land. Okay, Modern Age. So, opponent's got some card filtering here. We have Otawara. Really looking for just any white source off the top. We've got 2 turns to hit it, to really hit our cards on time. And let's see if we can, even if it's a tap land. Don't mind. Any white source would be great here to play the Shayna on time. And we do hit the Spar's headquarters, so that's great. It's definitely the card we wanted, mostly because it makes our ley lines also 3 mana cheaper. And they're discarding a Terror. And it looks like we're up against mono blue here. And a Jin is pretty good. I think we just get rid of Jin, though. And pass the turn back. Let's go and see what our opponent's up to here. So I'm maybe expecting like another Delver type effect, anything like that. And they just pass the turn back. So I'm thinking make disappear, essence scatter, anything like that. Let's actually go for the bigger play of the Peacekeeper. I'm fine with that getting counterspelled. Yep, gotta make disappear here, that's fine. And we'll just pass it back. Probably take a couple damage from the glider here. Fortunately, opponent is playing at instant speed, so we're going to have a little bit of a harder time resolving our spells here. Okay. Let's see what they got going on here. And just going to come in for 2, sure. They play a Delver, which we're just going to exile. Or attempt to. If we hit a land, we can try to kill both of their creatures. If they tap out, then I think we just play Shayna. We can still exile the Delver, play Shayna. Okay, I like that. Let's just try to exile the Delver here. Yep. Still have mana to play Shayna if need be. And looks like they just have a shore up. That's fine. We'll play a Shayna. And pass the turn back. So Delver could flip. We'll be taking 5 flying. Okay, got lucky it did not. They don't have a real way to kill this card. Like outright destroy effect. Okay. So let's see if they have... Maybe they just have like a bounce spell. Probably a Fading Hope. They got 2 cards left. Maybe they still just have a protection for the Delver here. Which I'd be... Like if they had like a slip out the back, that's fine. It's not really like that crazy. We hit a land. Let's attack for 3. Do they have a bounce spell? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Just going to attack, see what they do. And it's looking like they're going to take it. Go to damage. Play our land. Draw some cards. And let's do colorless, and a blue. So we draw some pretty good cards here. And we still have this March for the Delver. I kind of want to use it on their turn. Just so that they have to spend mana. And then maybe we can resolve the Storm the Festival on our turn instead. So I actually think I almost want to bait something out of their hand here. So let's see if they have the protection spell. If not, we just kill the Delver. If they do, then they protect it. And then maybe we just take... Okay, they have an Impulse here, that's fine. So they could also be playing Spell Pierce, which would be a bit annoying, but I'm guessing that they just hit the protection spell here. Maybe a Fading Hope would be the best scenario for us, because then it would just bounce the Delver back. Wow, it's actually going to resolve. Okay, that's even better, honestly. Okay, they can draw. So they have 3 cards left. 2 mana. If they play a land, they'll have 3, and then tap out for a Djinn. Would be best case scenario to resolve the Storm the Festival. Trying to hit some Planeswalkers here. Okay, just going to come in for 2. And, yep, there is a Djinn. And we have a Wandering Emperor. So the question is do we still storm the festival? I think we do. It just gives us so much value. And unfortunately, we're not really hitting anything too crazy with it. Can't attack. Okay, we'll just pass. Still have the Wandering Emperor if we really need to exile their Haldigen. Okay, Terror, it's fine. Pretty big card we don't really want to see right now. Take 7, go down to 9. Then we try to gain some life back, potentially. I mean, Wandering Emperor's pretty good here. I think we just play it. Try to resolve it. See what they got. Do they have the negate? They do not. We'll target the Jinn. Maybe they just have the protection spell. Okay, Otherworldly Gaze. So this doesn't really do anything too crazy, and our opponent's actually just going to concede, which is really surprising there. I mean, we were going to get to draw 2 cards off the Shayna, which was really nice. And what changes do we want to make? So we're up against mono blue. I think I like the Spell Pierce to fight back. A couple Make Disappears, maybe a Negate. We want to play at instant speed on their turn. Bring in both of the cheap creature removal spells. We can cut a Leyline and a Timeless Lotus. Mostly like our expensive cards. Could see a world, maybe we play Negate. Let's cut another Storm. We don't really need the combo going. At least I don't think so. Let's cut an Elspeth. It's an expensive card. A Teferi. Do we want the Negate? I think I want it over the other Loam Speaker. So let's go and see if we can take down mono blue here. Definitely an interesting matchup, and a deck that I think could be increasing here in popularity on our opponent's side. Bit of an awkward hand here. We have the one of Liberator. I actually think it's okay, though. We have a Forest. Leyline's going to be a bit expensive. And then we have a Ganjo to kill some things that they can't counter. I actually kind of like that. Like, we're going to get a card down early, and then if our opponent's not really doing anything but instants, then it's going to flip. And then later in the game, we have 2 removal spells. So I don't mind it. Okay, opponent does starting strong with this Delver. We may want to kill it before they get to do things. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's a little bit weird to do this play, but I actually don't mind it because they don't really have that many threats in their deck. Okay, well, they just hit another Delver. Alright, that's all good. Let's Outland Liberator. We still have Wandering Emperor that we can cast. Ganjo's potentially going to be huge as well. So let's see what our opponent does here. Okay, consider. So we have a chance of potentially getting this Wandering Emperor down eventually. Really depends on what they do. Let's say this flips and then they just play a Jinn to maybe try to outlast us. Then we're looking really good with this Wandering Emperor or maybe even the Ganjo. And our card flips as well. So let's play Deserted Beach. Just going to come in for 3. And then pass a turn back. Okay, they still have some more gazes. May end up just flashing that back. We have an Ganjo for the Delver Secrets whenever it attacks. And then we have a follow-up Wandering Emperor as well, which is great. So yeah, let's pitch this. Could just have a Hexproof card, which is fine. And they actually don't end up having it here. And we actually have a pretty good match there. Didn't really look like our opponent was really doing much, so let's move on to the next one and see how we do. Pizza people, are you enjoying the content? Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit that bell icon as well. That way, anytime any of our new content comes out, you're able to see it right away. Hey, leave a comment down below as well. Tell us what you're going to play in the next event, or tell us what you're enjoying about the video. Don't forget, check out the description too. We've got tons of great content down below. And on top of that, we're going to have our tournament schedule too. So get in on it. Hope to see you. Grinding it out here on the ladder with some Bant mid-range. Let's see if we can get our life gain outlasting our opponent game plan going. Looks like our opponent's still deciding on whether or not they're going to go first. And I actually think we can keep our hand. It's a little bit loose because we're mostly relying on this loam speaker, but being on the draw. Opponent mulliganed, feel a little bit more confident in it. Obviously hitting a 4-drop on our first draw. It's definitely not what we want to see, but definitely have some turns to do some things here. So it looks like they have a teaching. So we're up against Jund, Reanimator, a deck that you've seen us actually play on the channel during one of our streamer showdowns here. And they are going to go ahead and pump the token up. And no attacks. We do hit. No land. Let's play Shayna. Take the damage. It actually looks like they're 4 colors, so maybe they're not just Jund Reanimator here. Okay, looks like our Shayna is going to survive, which is nice. Might have wanted to play the loam speaker, in all honesty, but I like getting a sizable body on the battlefield. We would end up trading with both of these. We really need to hit a land here. And we do, so let's go ahead and... I think that we attack with Shayna. I could be wrong here. Maybe we just pass. Well, they're not going to have counterspell. Probably just going to have a removal spell here, maybe. Okay, just going to take the damage. And yeah, I think we end it. We can draw 3 if we really wanted to. I think we just want to play this Wandering Emperor, though. Obviously, it's a bit awkward, especially if they kill our loam speaker now with like a cut down. We'd probably have to play it, but then we'd actually get to uptick on the loam speaker and save it. Okay, they just have a Blossom Prancer, alright. So they will get an enchantment here. And let's see if they attack. They could attack with both, but then we definitely just blow them out here. I actually think we just uptick on the Wandering Emperor too. Yeah, that doesn't really seem all that good for our opponent. They don't really know though. So yeah, it's going to grow. And then we'll go to blocks, block here. Play a Wandering Emperor. Uptick on the loam speaker, killing the Kirin. We'll untap. We have another Wandering Emperor here. I think that we just uptick on Shayna. Come in for damage. Gain some life. We could draw some cards. I think it's better just to play another loam speaker though, and let's pass the turn. Yep. Do we just want to draw 2? I actually think that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. We can block with this other loam speaker on the Blossom. Like, if they're doing that, we're just a lot more ahead, you know? Right now, we're, like, really ahead on aggression. Okay. Weatherseed Treaty. Gonna go get a land into play tapped. Pretty interesting, especially with this Spirit Sisters Call. Okay, so we draw a land, which is definitely what we want to see. Uptick on the Shayna here. Going to come in for damage. Opponent's just going to chump block. We gain 5. We'll play a Storm the Festival, getting a Timeless Lotus, and Aspara's Headquarters, making our Leyline of Binding a lot cheaper. And we just have a ton of mana here. A lot of value going on. Going to be interesting to see what our opponent has here. Wow, a Titan Industry. So it's going to blow up our Timeless Lotus, I would imagine. A bit unfortunate, obviously, because we just got to play it. So, yep, going to lose our Lotus here. And they are going to hit down our Wandering Emperor for 4. We have lots of answers here, so let's get rid of the Titan. Let's get rid of the 4/4 token. We can uptick on one of these loam speakers. And I actually think we're just coming in aggressively here. Put our opponent down to 9. We're at 36. Can't draw any cards, but we have a Planeswalker that our opponent has to attack. And they don't really have too much else going on here. Could get rid of our Leyline of Binding, which would be annoying. Ooh, unfortunately they actually are going to get rid of our Leyline of Binding. And get their Titan Industry back. So definitely in a rough spot now. Probably going to kill the Wandering Emperor. That's fine. And let's see, so we have Teferi and Wandering Emperor, so we can do some things here. Let's see, so we can Teferi, tap, exile, attack. So yeah, let's play. So we actually want to tap this for a blue mana. Play it to Teferi. Uptick. No artifacts. We'll target this. We'll get to untap one of our lands. Let's attack for 5. Opponent's gonna block. We'll exile the Titan. And yeah, I mean, I'm drawing a card. There's no real reason not to. I mean, we had an Elspeth. It's pretty good. Probably bounce the Shayna is my guess. Yep. Let's discard this Loam Speaker. It's not really doing much. We're going to draw some lands here. Okay, just another Titan. That's fine. Still have another answer for it. Probably put a shield counter somewhere. Okay, just gaining the life. Seems good. Killing the Wandering Emperor is fine. Or maybe they attack the Teferi. I mean, I'm pretty happy with either of those in all honesty. Okay, we hit an AO, so let's see here. We can Elspeth. A lot of things we can do. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can actually storm the festival again if we really wanted to. We have 10 mana. Can also just play an AO. White mana. No artifacts. Tap this. Untap a land. Down tick. We have one Wandering Emperor left, so we have to protect this one. They're gonna get a flyer. That's fine. Let's play AO, actually. And then let's pass. Not sure if that, like, everything I did there was correct, but we have a value flyer now. We can still exile this Titan whenever they attack, if they attack. Fable coming down. Looking pretty good here. Yep, Sister's Call. And let's see if they attack. Wow, still going to attack. Okay. Pretty happy with that. Just exile the Titan here. They're going to get back. I'm not sure, honestly. I don't really see them sacrificing something here. They'd have to sacrifice the Kami War, and that just seems okay. Okay, they're going to sack a land, get a land back. Sure, that's fine. They're at 19. We have lots of creatures in play. So let's tap that. Could play Storm the Festival. Maybe we down uptick first. Uptick on this. Could also just play another AO. What are we really trying to hit off Storm the Festival, you know? And we just play Shayna plus Elspeth. Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, let's gain some life. And yep, opponent's just gonna concede. We just have so much value. It's kind of like insane. We even have like a Storm of the Festival in the graveyard. That was looking pretty good. And let's see what we want to do here. I think that they got a lot of non-creatures, so Negate's looking really good. So does this Make Disappear? Spell Pierce might end up being a catch-all. Farewell's pretty good. They have a lot of random enchantments here. Maybe we just keep the Leyline Binding. Let's cut an Elspeth, a Lotus, a Teferi. Actually, I kind of like the Teferi there. Peacekeeper is okay. Is Denick a card that we care about? Choose target permanent. So yeah, we want this. Bloom Speakers, fine. Circle of Confinement is just okay. I think that we want the Liberators, if I'm not mistaken. I keep 2 of these. Cut the Loam Speakers. It's a bit awkward. No, I like the festivals. It's kind of hard to sideboard with this deck. Yeah, I don't think that we want these actually. And do we want all 3 of these? I think we do. Cut it to Fairy. Yeah, we're bringing in Farewell. I mean, like, Teferi was cute with the Wandering Emperor sometimes, but I think since we're just playing the Farewell, kind of just, like, doesn't really matter, in all honesty. I'm going to have to mulligan here, only 1 land. This hand's a lot better. We can keep it. And do we just want to put the Leyline back? A part of me does. Part of me does. Storm of the Festival, pretty far away, and we got punished there by not putting the Storm of the Festival back. And they have a mulch, okay? Seems pretty good. We just hit a negate, which is fantastic. So just going to counterspell whatever they play for the first 3 turns of the game, probably. Yep. And take a point of damage here for that. Hit it to Fairy, so going to be looking to hit that to Fairy on turn 4 here. Hoping to draw land, uptick it, then we'll get closer to the Storm the Festival. Okay, we can just counter that again. Yep, just going to get rid of that. Hope to hit our land here. If we hit our land, things are looking really good. We hit a Shayna. Okay, that's fine. Taking some damage, but we could gain some life back here. Opponent, a bit of a slow start as well. May regret not holding up this negate, though. Ooh, Leyline Binding, sure. Land off the top means Teferi. Alright, feel pretty good about that. Taking 2 points of damage, though, unfortunately. And we're actually just going to uptick here. And, yep. And untap our white source, make them think that we have something, maybe. Gain some life. Next turn, if we draw a land, we'll be able to cast Storm the Festival, which will be great. Let's see what they have here on a follow-up play. Maybe they just have some cycle lands, it's looking like, potentially. They have a lot of mana. Could have Titan next turn. Yep, just going to cycle. And, okay. So, obviously a bit unfortunate here. Let's see, 4, so only 5 mana. Yeah, let's down tick on Teferi. Okay, going to grab this Wandering Emperor. And pass the turn back. If they have Titan, it's a bit unfortunate. We're not really able to counter it. Because we used our Make Disappears on their first 2 cards of the game. Okay, Leyline Binding. Yeah, we'll just negate that. Yep. It could have been, you know, trying to get that out of my hand. Okay, that's fine. That's not really a big deal. Got 3 cards left. We got a couple Planeswalkers maybe here. And we also have the Storm the Festival. They have 1 mana. Yeah, let's Storm the Festival. Try to hit some cards here. Fortunately, just a Liberator and a land. Yep, Liberator and a land here. So we have Shayna. We get to uptick. Teferi. Yep. And let's untap a land. And we do get Shayna back, so we'll be able to block. If it really gets down to it, we'll just destroy this and then block with the Shayna. But I don't think it's going to get to that point. We haven't really seen too much removal from our opponent. We have another Storm the Festival in our hand, and then Inevitability with the other Storm Festival in the graveyard. And looks like our opponent's going to discard to Soul of Windgrace here. Yep, going to discard again. That's fine. Get a redraw. Down to 4 mana from our opponent. And they have a Fable. That's fine. Not really a big deal. And they're going to attack maybe. Yep. Put a land back into play tap. That's fine. We'll block with the Liberator. Sacrifice it to get our Shayna back. Could also blow up the Fable, but I like getting the Shayna back. Just better value. Could maybe just draw a bunch of cards. Fable's like not really that threatening right now. They don't really have anything crazy. If they had a Titan, yeah, it's going to be bad. We had another Wandering Emperor, so that's good. I think that we just... Let's see, let's float white. No artifacts. Tap that. Untap a land. And let's see if we cast this. We have 2 mana left. But I think it's better if we just Wandering Emperor. It's a little bit weird, but I think it's just better if we just hold this up. We can draw some cards here. Do they have a kill spell? Okay, no kill spell here. And the turn. Let's just... colorless mana here. Draw some cards. And some really good cards to draw here, honestly. And it looks like our opponent's also going to get another redraw with the Soul Windgrace. It's fine. Does turn into nighttime, which is a little bit of a problem. Opponent's getting some redraws from the Fable. We can exile the Fable if we really want. I think the Emperor on the Soul Windgrace is just better. If it doesn't happen, then that's fine too. kind of just have lots of value with the cards that we have in our hand, and Shayna's going to help us continually draw some more cards every turn. So that's definitely going to be a good time here, potentially. Okay, so they're just going to make it indestructible. This actually taps it. So I'm not really sure what our opponent was doing there. Okay. And they're going to attack us with the goblin, sure. And definitely a mistake on our opponent's end here. They... maybe misclicked? I actually just don't know. It's a cost exile a creature card from your graveyard to each creature and each planeswalker. So we could exile this for some life. It's going to be 5. So either way, our Teferi would die. Yeah, that's, you know what? That's fine. Let's try to cast this card. Let's exile the Soul Windgrace. Let's just get rid of this. That way it just feels like their play is kind of meh. They got 1 card left, you know. Yeah, they get rid of most of our planeswalkers, but we also just have tons of cards left here. And yeah, Storm the Festival with negate backup. Let's hit a Shayna plus a Loam Speaker is fine. And pass turn. Still got lots of value. We have a negate. And they just have a cut down Loam Speaker. I mean, that's fine. Not really. Don't really care too much about that. Obviously, it's going to be a problem like if they hit a Titan. That's when things start to really become an issue. We have a negate for anything they try to kill the Shayna with. Looks like they just top decked the land, so we're definitely in complete control of the game now. Gonna attack. And deal our opponent some damage. Do we want to play the Sparas? I don't think so. We can play this. Plus Wandering Emperor and negate. We can draw 3. I don't really think we need to do that right now. We just have lots of instants that we'd rather play. And let's just get rid of this now. Yep, just going to get rid of the Fable. We get to untap. Let's just attack with both of these. And it looks like they have an Aganjo, so it's going to deal 4. Sure. Yeah, I'm just going to say go. Pretty complete control of this game. Just got to negate. And we just have tons of things going on. Yeah, opponent's just going to scoop it up. I mean, both games, we just had inevitability. Like, all the value that we piled up, like, our opponents just weren't really able to deal with it. Really good match for us. Alright, that was so much fun. You can already tell how much value this deck creates. It just puts the board state in a position where your opponent's just going to have a really hard time dealing with everything that you have going on with the card advantage from Teferi, the mana from the Lotus, Storm the Festival with some more card advantage, and then so many Planeswalkers. Just lots of value by just having Planeswalkers and continually having something to do every turn. Shayna was just phenomenal in the deck as well, where you're just gaining so much coincidental life gain from a lot of different cards that Shayna just ends up drawing you tons of cards, and by itself it ended up being really good in one of our matchups with the Wandering Emperor, where we were just able to gain 4 or 5 life a turn and could have chosen to just draw tons and tons of cards every single turn. But overall, I definitely recommend this deck for the latter. I mostly like edited this version of the deck. I know that Arjuna's is going to be a lot more refined to, you know, the more games that they've played. Right now, I think I recommend this deck for just the latter. If you're thinking about taking it to a tournament, then I think that you actually have to skew the deck to beat a lot more of the black-based strategies in the format. Right now, the deck's just built to kind of just grind, so it can have some game against those decks for sure, but as we all know, those are some of the best decks in the format, so we want to make sure that we have some answers for them. So I think in the sideboard, there's definitely going to be some other choices that you could have for that, but overall, just a really, really fun deck. I can't tell you how much of a blast I had playing it, just so much value, but If you made it this far into the video, really do appreciate it. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, bell notification, like the video, and leave a comment down below. Would be greatly appreciated. We do host 3 tournaments a month. All are free to play with cash prizes. Our next tournament is actually going to be October 9th. We already have our October schedule out, so get in on it. And I hope that you stay cheesy.